Welcome back. So this is our third video on the project and things will get increasingly exciting. And in this particular video, our focus will be on creating a bot, and this will be our first bot, which will be simple. And in fact, we are going to create a random bot, just like Roomba. If you don't know what a Roomba is, this is the Roomba, just to show you a video quickly. So Roomba basically randomly moves around on the floor and to clean your house. Okay, so a random bot can actually be quite useful. It will get some basic job done. And so in this case, we're going to create a random robot to play against a human. Okay, so we can have some fun. But we'll also understand it will have some limit. It won't get very smart because all it does is just to randomly pick a spot and make the random move, right? So this will be our baseline. And in future videos, we are going to create more advanced models that can learn and become more competitive. And we can always compare them back to this first model. Okay, so let's get started. And so far, as I said, we already have created the tic-tac-toe game. And whenever we, for example, if we run, this command, such as to create a tic-tac-toe, okay, and then game.display, okay, we can start the game and start to play one another. So this is the basic skeleton of the game. Now let's start to introduce the bot. Okay, so this is our first bot, and because it's going to be a random bot, so let's import random so that we can generate some random moves from here, and then create a class called random bot. Okay, and in the initialization function, okay, so that's again in the random bot, we are going to have this init double underscore before and after for the construction function. Okay, and in this construction function, what we need to pass, the parameters will include the game and the player. So the game is basically because this bot has to know the game, it's playing on, so that it will have some basic memory or understanding or to monitor the status of the game. And then there's also a player, so that it knows which player the bot is playing, right? Whether it's an X or O. Okay, so two basic variables that has to be part of it. And of course, for the player, let's first make sure that if it is, it has to be inside either X or O, right? If it is not one of these, then we should throw out an arrow. Okay, so if it's not one of X or O, we are going to throw an arrow to say that player must be either X or O, right? So that is the message. If otherwise, if everything looks good, then we can assign the game to self.game and assign the other variable player to self.player. Okay, so the bot will keep track of the game, but also know which player it's playing as. Okay, so this is the first one. The second one we are going to do is the random move, right? So let's create a move function to pick a random cell, okay, on the grid basically. So let's define a move function, and it doesn't require any parameter other than self. because it's going to decide on the move. And so let's first look at, once the game is being played, some cells will be taken. Again, we know it's a 3 by 3 matrix, and some cells will be taken either by O or X. And so there are only a number of available cells, and the bot can only pick from those available cells. Okay, so let's make a variable called available cells, right, to keep track of what cells are still available. And it's going to be a list, right? So it's going to be a list of things, and in this list we need to keep track of the row index for each cell, right? The row and column index. And so we need to have I and J, okay, as a pair. And then for all I in range 3, right, because it's a 3 by 3, and then for J in range 3 by 3. But there's a condition if, right, self.game, right, we want to access the game, okay, which is being passed to the bot, but more specifically the board variable, right? If you remember, let's go back a little bit just to revisit this variable at the top of the tic-tac-toe game. Inside the game we have the board, okay, self.board, okay, that keeps track of the status, okay, the memory about, where X and O's are, okay. So this is self.game, because game here is the tic-tac-toe game, okay, the board that keep track of that. But we need to make sure here that the I's row and J's column on the board must be space, okay, space meaning it's not taken and you can play on it, okay. So that is the condition. So let's double check, okay. We are going to return all I and J, the row and column indexes, for all I in range 3 and J in range 3 if that I and J's position is not taken, okay. So, and we save all these to the available cells, okay. So again, as you can imagine, when the game progresses, the number of available cells will be reduced, okay. Now we can determine the move from these available cells, which is very simple, okay. We can have this move, okay, or we can call it cell, okay, the cell we want to pick, and it's going to be a random move, so we can call this, we already imported random, and we can call random dot choice, okay, and basically to select actually to avail cells, okay. So from the available cells, pick one cell from it, okay, randomly, okay. So and then what we are going to do is we still need to do one thing, because now we want to make a move on the game board, okay. But before we can do that, we need to make a very slight adjustment or revision to the code above in the tic-tac-toe game. Remember, we have this make moved function. Make move function currently is tied to the mouse click, right? So because every time when the mouse is clicked, this will be triggered. But right now, we want the move to be played by a human, but also by a bot. So we need to have a function that can be used both ways. Okay, so in order to do that, what I'm going to do is that after this make move function, I'm going to create another call function just for move. Okay, so I'm going to create this move function. It's going to be self, I, and J. Okay, and then inside this function, I'm going to select this portion of the code, just cut it, okay? Command X or Control X to cut it, and then Command V to paste it here, okay? So I think when I paste, actually it moved. Let me double do it again, just from the very top, okay? And then paste it here. Now I think it's a little bit off, so I'm going to select it and then Shift Tab to reduce the indentation, and then if you tab again, use tag the key to kind of move it in a little bit. Okay, so this piece of code will be part of the move function, and this is going to be the core function to make a move for a human click or a butt. Okay, so this is the core function, and obviously, you know, this function can be reused here for the button click event, and so we can simply say self.move, okay, and then ij. Okay, so that will be done here. Okay, and so this is actually does not really change what we have done here. Okay, it's just to restructure the code. But because of this new move code function, we now can also use the butts you know, function, move function to call it. Okay, so let's go back. Once you're done with this restructuring, let's rerun it just to make sure that this will continue to work. Okay, if you rerun it, it should continue to function as before. Okay, so no problem with that. But now we have a move function inside the game, inside the tic-tac-toe game. Okay, and so, and because this game is referenced here as self.game, so let's do it, self.game, and given that cell that has been picked, okay, we can make a move. Okay, so call the game's move function, and that takes I and J. Okay, so because I and J comes in a pair in the available cells, and then when it's picked, each cell that is picked contains two numbers. Okay, the first number is the I index, and the second number is the J index. And so what you do here is like, okay, 0 index for the first number, comma, and then I1 for the second index. Okay, so in this case, you will be able to make a move and give the random bot a chance to make a random move. Okay, so let's run it. And so this class is loaded, but we still need to kind of really create. Class is only a blueprint. Okay, we still need to create a bot out of this blueprint. And so what we do here is to use a bot equal to, and then we can call this random bot class to construct a bot out of it. Okay, so what this does is random bot, and then the first parameter in the constructor is the game. Okay, and this game actually does not come from here, but from earlier game equal to tic-tac-toe. So this is the tic-tac-toe game that we have created, and then we pass this game to the bot, so the bot will know you know what's going on. Okay, with the you know, on the board during the game. Okay, so that's so what I would like to do is let me press new game, and what I'm going to do is that I'm going to make a move, for example here for the human, and now I can come back to this bot and let's say let's move. Okay, so I'm going to create a bot and then call this move function. Let's see what it does. You can pay attention to the cell here. When I run this, actually let me double check. It should, so bot.move, it's game. Let me rerun it again because let's rerun it. I think it may not connect, and run this piece of code again. Oh, actually it starts to move. X. Okay, so now let's have a new game. Okay, so you run this piece of code to construct the game, and then we can play as the human on the human side, and then run this piece of code, shift enter. Okay, so that is going to make a random move, and then I can move on the human side and then come back to this code and run it again on for the bot. Okay, so the bot is going to make another move, and obviously it's not very smart, and it's only making a really a bad move, and so now I can click to win the game. Okay, so this is the random bot, but you see it's kind of it's not really easy to run this game, because you have to click and then come back to run the code, because this piece of code is not really integrated into the interface. Okay, so it works, but not as good. So let's make an improvement here. So what I would like to do is that whenever we make a move as the human player, right, if I mark an X on it, it should automatically trigger the bot to make a move as well. Okay, instead of running the code here manually. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do next. So now, in order for this game to trigger a bot to move, the game also needs to know which bot is part of it. Okay, so let's go back to the game, to the Tic-Tac-Toe class. And here, you know, right after the constructor function and before the reset function, we can create a new function. And in this new function, I'm going to call it setBot. Okay, it's going to be self and then bot. Okay, so to set a bot to play this game. Okay, so and so here the set bot is very simple. We just need to set kind of save or store the information or the reference to the bot, whether it's a random bot or in the future more advanced bots. It will be assigned to the game, and so the game know that, oh, one player is the bot right here. Okay, so this is assignment of the bot. Now the next thing that we want to do is like, okay, whenever we as a human make a move, by clicking on the board, is to also trigger, right, the bot to make a random move or whatever move the bot decides to do. And so remember, this is where we make a move on the human side. When we click the mouse, that triggers this self.move function, right, which is going to mark an X in this case on the board. Okay, so after this, right, this is after the human. This is, this is human move, right? Now it's the next should be bot move, right? And so the bot move, there's a condition here actually, right? Because for the bot to move, there has to be no winners yet. Okay, so we have to check the status. Okay, so if the self.winner, remember this self.winner keeps track of whether there's a winner. Okay, and if it's space, okay, then you know, if space, then there's no winner yet, and we can call this self.bot, okay, dot move to make the move. Okay, so what is self.bot? This is the bot that has been assigned to the game, okay, as a reference to the bot. And then the bot.move, right, is the move function here to pick for this particular random bot, is to just pick a random move. Okay, so right now So I think we have make the change again. Two changes here. The first one is the assignment of a but, right? Set but function. And then the second part is to say if there's no winner in the make move, then we'll allow the but to move. Okay, so that two minor changes. Let's run this code. Okay, so we're going to shift enter to run it. Now this is not ready yet because next thing we need to do, okay, we can also run it here if you want so that we can show the game right here. But the next thing we need to do is to connect the game with the bot. Okay, so here we are not going to call the bot.move function, okay, because we already created the bot and then assign the game to the bot. But on the other side, we also need to set bot, okay, to the game so that the game also knows which bot is playing. So they have a mutual kind of understanding of each other. Okay, and here we don't need to call the move function specifically because that will be triggered, okay, once we do the mouse click. So let's run it first. Run this piece of code. It does nothing, but when you start to play, for example, if I play a move here, you see automatically that will trigger the bot's move function to make a move. Now I'm going to go next. And actually it happens to have a good move to block my third cell in the row. Okay, so now I'm going to change to another one, and this time it misses. So I'm going to go ahead to have a win. Okay, so this is the random but, very simple. And of course, as you can see, it's very easy to beat it. Okay, but this is our starting point, and this is our first move, so to speak, our first part. And in the next video, starting in the next one, I'm going to create more advanced parts, okay, with some reinforcement learning methods with neural networks. And maybe in the future, when we go into more complex games such as checker or chess, we probably have to have some deep learning models to support more intelligent bots. Okay, so I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.